What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out the channel. I hope that you like the interviews so far. Please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us a comment, share these videos with your friends. Also, if you'd like to follow me on any of my social media accounts, those links are in the description below. All right, we're rolling.
Awesome.
Gio.
Hello, Jesse.
Thank you for doing this. I know you're really busy.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to speak with you because I've known about your work for a while, and but if for people who don't know you, did you just want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Well, my name is Gio DiZurita, but people call me Gio. I'm a visual artist here in San Antonio, and I've been doing art full-time for over 12 years now.
12 years.
Mm-hmm.
What how did you manage to do art full time?
Well, it took me a while, but I think more than anything, the concept we have of artists is this idea of starving artists or the real artist, and I think it's very different for everybody. What I did that it worked for me was understanding that I needed to start from the bottom, and what that means is literally like nobody knows you, and you have to turn off your ego so that you understand, like, in the art world or the art scenery, you're nobody. So you have to create a persona, a name, and get people to understand what your art is about. And for me, it took me a while because I really don't consider myself to have a particular style that is very, like, you can pinpoint it and be like, that's Gio. People say now I do, but I change it. So I started literally doing art markets and asking other vendors how to get involved in other events. And I did a bunch of art for nonprofits. That's how I got into the galleries and all of that, because I'm self-taught as well. I didn't have any diploma to say, hey, she's good. Yeah. So it took me a while, but eventually putting my artwork in social media, doing all the markets and saying yes to everything that will open the doors for me. That was the way I started.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, because we were just talking off camera, that I guess for any artist just starting out, that is like the big problem, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how do I take this thing that I create and get it in front of everybody and get it in front of a lot of people?
Yes.
And so about like 12 years ago, right? I guess social media helps now. But for you, it was just about speaking with everybody.
Yeah.
And trying to get somebody to
yes.
show your work.
I mean, by then, Facebook was already a thing, but it was not what we have today. It's like, it's everywhere. You can share your work with thousands of eyes very quick. But when I started, it was more about putting it in front of physical eyes during all these events I was telling you I did around the city. And then people that care, like yourself, and wanted to interview me and learn about what I was doing, because I was so young, already doing what I loved. And as tough as that it is and was, it is interesting to meet people that get to do what they love on a daily basis. So I think it is important to talk about it, because it isn't easy, but nothing is really.
Yeah.
In life in general.
Yeah, and especially like when you're making something, it is really nerve-wracking to see how the people are going to react to it.
Huge. I think for artists, obviously we want people to like it. We might say we don't care. It sounds cool, but it isn't true for most humans. I mean, obviously we want to connect. That's the reason why we create. We want to connect to ourselves and to someone out there or something bigger than us. That's why we make things that will stay whenever we go. When we're passed away or whatever, we leave physical things that tell a story or a feeling or something. So it is super, it's all about vulnerability and understanding the strength in it. Because you have to create something that you don't know how people will react. And every artist is different. Some people do it because they have that need of creating. Some just want to have fun. Others need to, I don't know, be more active out there in politics and religion, you know. So for everybody, it's so different. But it is nerve-wracking because you put it out there and you don't know how people will react. And the truth story is that you create for yourself, but it matters. If you want to make a living, it matters what others say, because they are the spectators are the buyers. So it's like a crazy world that kind of conflicts with each other, you know, the part that you just want to create because it's your calling, and then you also have to make a living, right? So you have to make the sales and think about the outside perspective.
You said that, so now people may see your work and be like, oh, okay, they recognize it, right? So here's a story. This was like right before the pandemic, and I had this part-time job. I was working at the airport, and when I would go into the airport, I'd seen these paintings, and I would pass them every day, and it bothered me, and I was like, I know this person. And so one day I just walked over to the painting and I saw your name.
Yes.
Because your work's unique.
Thank you.
And with the colors and everything, it reminds me of San Antonio. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you.
And so that was a while.
Yes.
How did that come about? And I because when I saw that, I was like, man, that is a way to do it. Because thousands of people are coming through here every day from all over the world, and that's what they're seeing.
That's interesting story, because when I had no idea the airport did that, and until then there was no really local artists in there. I was at a First Friday, and like I said, interesting thing about saying yes to everything when you're first starting. I met Matt. Now we're friends, but back then we didn't know each other. And he said, hey, I'm starting to work with the airport and I would like to have your art in there. Would you be interested? And I was like, of course. He gave me a card, and eventually the art got in there. And after that, a bunch of different artists got in as well. And I would put in contact a bunch of my friends as well. And obviously there's a lot of people that made that happen, but I was very excited to be one of the first ones that said yes, and I did, and that opened doors. And that's the funny thing, like some projects, sometimes they don't work out like you expected, but it's okay. You gain at least the experience. But then there's some projects that open doors to something bigger than you didn't even expect. It's like we met, you and I, some years ago, and today here we are in your podcast. You're interviewing me, but we already had crossed paths, and those are things that are so important, especially as artists. We need to understand that our surroundings are always, I believe in attraction, in energy, are always there to serve us, and we are here to serve the world through our art, our thoughts, our ideas, conversations. So everywhere I go, I am an artist that talks about art and talks about other people's dreams and things. And thanks to the way I communicate and I share my life, my experiences, other doors open. Thanks to saying yes to things, other doors open. So it's kind of like important that we are always kind of seeing life like another day, another opportunity to create, to do, to connect, and things will happen. Who knows, from this podcast that will open doors for both of us to something else. And it's like a ladder. We help each other. I believe in that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for me, like getting into something new, I'm not sure like if I'm going to be good at it, but I want to do it. And that's something you said in an interview that made me like, okay, like, it's constantly putting yourself out there and seeing, but, how did you, because you're pretty well known, like internationally also, how did you manage that?
I don't know if I am internationally known. It sounds cool. People say it all the time, so it makes me feel happy that that's the perception. Obviously, I worked really hard, so I do feel like thanks to my hard work, things are happening today, and I make a living, and I'm not like constantly struggle. My struggles are emotionally, and like, am I good enough to be this human that is sharing the idea? But in general, I think it was just constantly being out there. Like, I do not go to bed if I don't feel like I feel the day the way it was supposed to. And that what that means to me is, did I do something that matters in my career or with somebody I love, in my personal life? Because we go to bed thinking, tomorrow is another day. We don't know. So if we go to bed at least knowing that you did one thing that mattered, that it could increase the opportunities of something new tomorrow, that your career is in a good path, that you are being successful not just because your ego needs it, but because you're here to actually add something to the world. That's what matters to me. And I think just presenting myself and saying that I will do the things I always say I will do. Like, if we create a project, it doesn't matter if it wasn't that successful. I did it, and I did it in my best way that I could at that moment. And that makes me happy, because some projects, like I just said, sometimes they're not as good as you thought, but I've done so many that I do not fear when things don't work out. What I fear is that I let my ego in the war. That I let my ego in, because the ego, as an artist, can tell you, oh, you're better than this, you can do better than, and compare yourself. And so when you say I'm well known, I really, really try my best to see it like a hot potato game, like, cool, thanks. But I don't pay attention to it as much, because it's not my dream to be known or like for people to recognize me. My dream is really to know that what I'm sharing, which is how I'm healing, just me for me, right? That experience can be useful for somebody else that is looking to heal, because we don't know how that works. And we're all here living a human experience, but we're souls that need to connect and expand and give and do. So sometimes we just get too caught up with the human experience of the working and the hustling and who knows me, oh, do you like my work, da, da, da. I try to not think as much about that. And I really, really believe that what has led me to be where I'm at is how hard I've worked, but also with how much passion and strength in my soul to really put something out there that matters beyond the physical world or beyond the money. Obviously, money is really important. I love money, but I do like to believe that I am very abundant at all times. Even when the months where the sales are not there, I really, really like connect to my higher power. I'm like, God, I'm abundant. I know it. It will show. Like, there's nothing that in this world that can break me, you know?
Yeah.
Even though I will tell you, I deal with a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression and a lot of those things. And I doubt myself all the time. But it's a constant reminder. I wake up, a new beginning, a new opportunity, because I am alive.
Yeah.
And I don't know if tomorrow will come. So today I will do my best to be a better version than yesterday.
Yeah. That's well said.
Thanks.
I love your Instagram.
Thank you.
Because you talk about all this like all this stuff is hard, right? But we don't see all that stuff on Instagram, you know, from other people. But like for you, like it's like it's a part of your life because you're an artist here, but you're also into like music, fashion, like all these things that are like you've worked into your life. And so your art just like covers like a whole like bunch of stuff.
Yes, I always say we're walking masterpieces, and I mean it, because we are it with all the material things. But I love the fashion, and it's a beautiful conflict I live in, because I could try to be this minimalist soul, but then I'm the most maximalist when you come to like see my physical self, you know. And I love nature, and I love everything created by men when it comes to creativity. Like we are a connection between God, or if you believe in God or in a higher power, and the human experience. So literally anything creative, I love it. I love the clothing, and not so much because of the brands. It's just what I like. It can be done with trash, and if it's beautiful, I'll be like, oh, I'll put that hat on. Oh, but it's a trash can. It looks great, you know. Also, I think that since I was a really, really young kid, I love the idea of being able to put on things to become other characters in life, you know, like play, dress up. And my grandma would like literally buy a bunch of clothing from like used clothes. I don't know, we call it la pulga in Spanish. And she'll bring these amazing bags of random clothes that didn't even fit me. But I was like, oh my God, we're playing dress up. And I will invite my friends, and we will all dress up, and I will take pictures of them. And now we're going to be rock stars, and now we're going to be this and that. And that never ended. Like till this day, I do it. I'm 32 years old, and I'll make painting parties with themes just so I can play dress up and invite other people to do the same. Because I feel like we forget to be kids, and kids is not just something that we should be when we're young. We should have that playfulness and that I don't know, that feeling of excitement for the little things that we can do. And I love that.
And so you said before, like you weren't trained, you didn't go to school, but like when did it all start? Like, was it in school that you were like, maybe I could do this?
Well, I was in middle school when so I was born in San Antonio, but I was raised in Mexico, in Torreon, Coahuila. So when I was there, I was there until like 10 or 11 years old. I can't remember. But while I was there, I was bad in school. I was really bad at like listening to the teachers and doing what the teachers asked me to do. When I came here, I was like, oh, I can reinvent myself. Like literally nobody knows me. They don't have a tag on me of who I'm supposed to be according to them or anything like that. So I kind of literally made up this character of who I wanted to be. And part of that was definitely a creative being, you know. So I got into school, into my middle school here, and I got into art class, which I had never never, and I was so good at it. And I felt so out of place that instead of going to lunch, I would ask the teacher if I could stay and finish projects. And I loved the art classrooms. So I did that. And that just made me understand that I was so intrigued to a point that, could I do this as a living? But they will always say, like, you can be a graphic designer, or you can, yes, there's creative things to do out there, but never really thought I could make a living of painting, Yeah. So that was another thing I wasn't expecting, but thanks to life, it happened.
So for a brief time, I taught middle school art.
Oh, okay.
And I would see that the kids who were really active or really, I guess they had a really busy mind, they would kind of be all over the place. But once I got through and like kind of like related to them and I saw their work, I'd be like, whoa, like this is really good. Mm-hmm. And so even now, like I gravitate more to people who are like real eccentric and like creative, because they make really good things, and I get inspired by that. Were you like this kid that was, kind of like real busy like that? I mean, you can't really, obviously it's hard to focus in like normal classes, but art is like one of the things that you're like, you're really focused on.
Yes.
You can like make something really good.
It's interesting that when I remember, like I never really liked school. Mm-hmm. It was not a good experience for me because it was so hard for me to concentrate. Yeah. I mean, now I understand why. After therapy and everything, now I know what my issues were. But I tend to be hyper all the time. Mm-hmm. And my attention deficit is like so small, except with art. So when I was in school, I could only concentrate on whatever I was listening if I was doodling. Oh. And so I would get in trouble a lot until my teachers knew, like, hey, I'm respectful. I'm sitting in the front. There's just something in me that I can't stop. And if I just pay attention like this, I'll pretend I'm listening, but I can't because my mind is somewhere else. Yeah. And eventually everybody was super nice, all the teachers and everything here in the US, not in Mexico. In Mexico, I had bad experiences, but here people were very respectful of how different I was, and they embraced it even more than I did. I truly think I tried my best to be normal, and I just couldn't. And I couldn't really connect with kids my age, or and then I didn't speak the language. So that was very difficult, and it took me a while to learn it. And I think it's really when I got into the art world that I had to speak about my art, that I started saying, okay, I need to get better at my English.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What was the difference between here and Mexico?
Well, in Mexico, I went to a private school, and my parents, a lot of the times, couldn't afford it. So the teachers knew they couldn't pay it. So they will make it a big deal and voice it out to the classroom. So everybody knew that Gio didn't pay, so if your parents don't pay, make sure that you can come tomorrow, and things like that. And so I get bullied a lot because they were like, you're poor, like things like that, that it's so horrible because they're kids, but they are raised that way. And I mean, and I had so many anger issues, not only because of that. I had my own little personal problems, and then going to school and not being accepted, it just made me more angry. So then I will be very physical, like I will beat up kids and teachers. not like I hate you now, but it was like I remember in one moment, a teacher picked me up because I was talking to somebody. And this was a constant issue. Like I said, I couldn't pay attention. It was really difficult. And I was like, I didn't get any help to know why. First, I didn't know I had dyslexia.
Yeah.
I'm dyslexic, right? And then I have this attention deficit disorder with
hypertension or something like that.
Yes, like hyperactivity or something. Like I don't remember in English, but among other things, right? And I didn't know. I come to know this now. I've been in therapy for 4 years. So it took an adult me to take me there because I was like, I don't know why. I'm so distracted and I can't do things. But in Mexico, I didn't know all these things and I tried my best, but it just didn't work out. And it just didn't help that most of the teachers, not all of them, but most were not nice to me, you know, and it would just make me more angry. So instead of trying, I was like, you already think I'm this horrible kid? Fine. I'll be this horrible. I'll show you how horrible I can be. But deep down, I was just so scared and so lost. Like, I just want to be liked. Why is it so difficult to be part of something, you know?
Yeah.
But my grandma and my mom, they were super loving, and they will explain to me like how that didn't matter, but it really doesn't matter to the kid, because to the kid school is the world. So it was until I came here that I was like, oh God, thank God. It was hard. I didn't want to, because I had a few friends and I thought that was it. Like, oh, if I don't speak English, I move, I'm not gonna have any friends. Nobody's gonna like me, I thought at first. And then I came here and I noticed like that opportunity of, oh, I can recreate myself. I'm nobody here. Oh, that's so awesome. To be nobody opens the door to become who you want to, because the world is not telling you who you are. You're here to demonstrate to yourself who you are through actions of a blank canvas you can paint instead of a messy one that's what they see, you know?
Yeah. What are your influences? Where are you pulling your influences from, your work?
It has varied, and that's why I think the styles vary from painting a lot of like Mexican folklore and Frida Kahlo and flowers and very colorful, to different landscapes. I love traveling, so everything from nature to my experiences. Right now, it's been probably like 5 years since the pandemic that I've been focusing a lot in my mental health and the transformation of who I have become over the years, and kind of the exploration of, am I who people say I am? Am I what I've gathered from experiences, or am I the best version? What is it? What I like? Is it because I was a teenager with these experiences and that's what I saw, or is it something I really like? Like, I started just asking questions about why I am and I do what I do. And in that discovery, I found out a little bit about Carl Jung and the individuation, the idea of getting to see and meet your shadow self and integrating it to who you are as a whole, and just learning that there's no good and bad. It's just your human self. Yes, you'll have these emotions that are categorized like bad, but they are not necessarily. But if you get to know yourself enough in the good, in the light and the dark, then it's easier to navigate an authentic self, you know? And so my art, since the pandemic till now, I did a series called Dancing with Ghosts, where the ghosts were memories. The palettes in those pieces are the conscious mind. And then it breaks into different series, but they all interconnect with each other. because I'm kind of rewriting my story where I don't want to be the victim of anything. Like as an adult, I'm becoming the adult I always needed in my life.
Yeah.
I'm becoming my own mother and father. I really believe this. And so now I'm saying to the inner child of my little Gio, okay, you learned the wrong things. There's no happy ever after, but that doesn't mean it's a horrible life. It's just different. Let me rewrite the story and read it again with this more mature mind, where you can accept that not everything's beautiful, color pink, but it isn't horrible either. You're not the victim of, like, there are certain things from certain point in your life on that you can recreate and pick the pieces that make sense and that serve you, and the things that have been haunting you, let it go. Otherwise, in my personal opinion, they will haunt you forever, and you won't be able to forgive and forget things that you don't really need to bring to life and give power to. Obviously, it's not a matter of forget the horrible things that people actually did to you. No, don't forget it, but don't bring it up every day. Don't give so much power to that. Give power to the lessons that taught you not to get close to people like that, or to areas in the world that, you know, are too upsetting, too bad to go to. Like, there's things that just from memories you can feel sick again, or be so angry that you feel like you're in the moment. Well, why do we do that again to our bodies and to our minds? We flee that scene to escape, and then we become the own cages of our own selves, you know, in those tormented places. So in my personal journey through art, I've learned that the way we paint is the way we live. So what I've noticed, every time I'm self-conscious and I just wanted something to be really good because, oh, is this going to be selling? My ego talking. Gio, go back to yourself. You're getting out there. Don't do things for others. Do it for yourself, and then the right people will come. We're magnets. We'll attract the right people that are open to listening to this message, right? And it's not for everybody. It's okay. You know, it's okay if there's people that don't like it, that are not in agreement with what I have to say. That's all right. Everybody speaks a different language, but I think we're all connected to the same thing and to the same love, you know? So I'm just here to be another voice, and hopefully it can make sense to some.
Yeah. And how do you, so you don't really pay too much attention to bad criticism? I feel like that destroys, because whenever I get bad criticism or something, that it could just be one thing, one comment. I'd be thinking about that all day. It could ruin my whole day.
Oh no, but it happens to me too. It does. It still happens, but that's where I try to apply the squirrel. You know, like instead of going over and over this one person that did or say or whatever, I'm like, who's this person? First of all, do I even know? Is this a fake account? Because it could be, because most people that say bad things about you, they won't even say it to your face. And when they do it through phantom accounts, you know, like if you don't like it, show me your face, share it with me. If you feel the need, I don't really feel the need to say bad things to people anyway, so I don't understand why people need to say that, but I do understand when people want their opinion heard, right? So it's cool when you hear constructive criticism, like when a great artist comes to me and says, Gio, you can be better at your technique if you do this and that. Oh my God, it's welcome.
Yeah.
But if somebody comes and they're just like, your art is bad. You're just a pretty face. And that's, like I hear these things, I'm like, thanks, I'll take the pretty face. But, like, I try to understand that maybe they have their own pain. Yeah. Maybe they're not fulfilling their dreams, and I'm just a reflection of their own shadow, and it's bothering them. Yeah. But it has nothing to do with me. But I do feel bad when people say ugly things, or when I've had people I work with in projects. It's very minimum. There's more good than bad, but there's been a lot of other things that have made me feel like, am I supposed to be doing this? Am I good enough? But when those thoughts come, that's my little me thinking. That's either my inner child or my ego. So either if it's my ego, I'll let it die. If it's my inner child, I'll console it and be like, hey, don't worry about it. You're okay. You're in the good path. You feel good doing it? Yes, then do it. But I have to be very sweet to myself, because I've been so ugly in the past. Like, I never really liked who I was. I struggle so much. Even at my physical self, I will always criticize something. You have a stretch mark. You have this. You have that. Like, hey, you are this beautiful being. God made you this way. It's like you create a painting and you might not be like, oh, this is the best painting ever, but it's your little child. At that moment you're creating, there's something that the reason why you created that, there's something there. Yeah. And sometimes it's not for you, the creator, it's for somebody else. Somebody else will connect to it. So I try to see myself a little bit like with these eyes of a loving little tiny thing that is just like, help, I need your love. And I explain to that little self like, hey, don't worry about what they're saying. Keep doing it, because if you don't show up because you're afraid, you will never know. And that not knowing, like, why would you die with not knowing your potential if you never tried it? Right, and a lot of people die while they're alive because they have nothing to live for, and they're just literally zombies criticizing other people for doing what they wish they did, or I could do it better. Then do it. Wonderful. Stop talking. Stop commenting on my page that you don't like something, and do it better and show it to the world, and hopefully you do good. You know?
I find it so interesting that you as an adult are like figuring out stuff of your past, like fixing that, and how that helps you as an artist. For people who are like look at your work, and like when you talked about the dancing with ghosts.
Yes.
When I saw that, I was like, whoa, that's like so different, like something else. There's like a whole story here. Because now you're using like these really muted colors, and it's so different from the colorful stuff. Yeah. As an artist, like you have to be a good speaker because you're gonna like present your work and show it, but you also say a lot by like putting a painting out there, just like a visual piece. I mean, for me, when I seen it, I'm sure other people too. Like, if it's so different, what's the story behind it?
Yeah, I think I had to leave different chapters of my life, and the art, if you follow through the years, has been telling you where I'm at. So when I first started painting, very, very first paintings when I was very, very young, my paintings were ugly and horrible, and there was blood and eyes popping out of hearts and hands squeezing the actual hearts, not like cutesy hearts, like actual hearts, and drowning and hanging and things, like crazy things, but they were always symbolic. It wasn't that I was suicidal or something. It was just my way of expressing how asphyxiated by emotions I felt. And that's kind of like what my artwork showed then. And then I got into learning a little bit about self improvement and self-control and love and all of that. I started reading Dr. Wayne Dyer books, and he's all about like change the way you see life, and the life around you will change, you know, because you are seeing it from a different perspective. So I started using those wise perceptions of life and putting it into my work. So my artwork, what people really saw now in this other chapter, was colorful, happy, because I was painting what I wanted to attract, not what I was feeling like before, but what I wanted to attract. And it was so easy to live in that chapter, because it's almost like you're fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
But it is not me. Like, I needed to live it. I needed to be there, learn from that era, and move on, because that's not me. That was fun. That was great. That was a chapter in my life. And that was like this character I made. It was fantastic. This bubbly, always happy, always energized person that could handle the entire world in her hands. Well, I was really so broken inside, you know. And then during the pandemic and all of that, I separated from my husband, so we have a breakup. And even though today we're in a very good place and we are loving humans, and that was years of like just not being happy with who I was, knowing that you can't also just blame it in the other person. Like it takes two, right, to tango. So that relationship taught me a lot, because there was a lot of immaturity from both sides. But I learned that people come to your life to teach you something, and there's a lot of times that those people will not stay, and you know, that's okay. And I was not the same person that he married. I was not the same. I didn't have the same dreams. I didn't have the same wants, or, you know, like I didn't share. I couldn't even relate to the girl I was years before we actually separated, right? So when that happened, I was super lost, because I felt like, oh my gosh, who am I if I'm not a daughter? Because I don't even live with my parents. I barely see them. I'm not with my brothers, so I can't be a sister. And now I don't have a husband. And am I a failure? Like, and what am I if I'm not an artist? Like, what the hell? Pandemic hits. And I'm like, are people gonna buy artwork? Like, do they care? People are more worried about toilet paper and making like a decent life while, you know, in their homes. But it was also a beautiful time. And I met my boyfriend, my current boyfriend, and we've been friends forever. But that was a new way of seeing life and respect for my life, to see me through his eyes, and me feeling so defeated by life and the past and all of that, and just seeing that, what the hell? People actually see me so different than what I feel like. And so all my social media and my personal and my artistic life, I started to actually putting it all in one place instead of pretending. Because I am the, you know, like the person that people see out there. They don't care about my depression. They don't want to see my negative side. They just want happy-go-lucky Gio, and you know, but I have so much more to say, and I cannot relate to the girl they liked. So who knows if they're gonna like my work and what I have to say today, because it's not as happy, perfect, San Antonio, colorful, expected, you know, like it's different. So when I did that Dancing with Ghosts with blacks, whites, gold. And it was like, oh God, I don't know if they're gonna like it, And when I started seeing how people loved it, I started selling it just before I even finished the pieces, just by painting and recording myself and posting it on Instagram. And people were, during the pandemic, remodeling their homes. So they were actually buying art. And so I was like, see, there's always something good that comes out of the shadows. That's what this is about. And why would I want to keep on trying to fix the world out there? My families, the teachers, the school, I need to fix myself. And so that's what I'm doing with my art. It's not so much if I'm a good artist when it comes to technique. Oh, look at the brush strokes I do. It's more about I'm literally fixing myself through creation. That's what my art's about. That's why I think it's so powerful and beautiful. And that's why I like sharing. I don't like to say, look at my beautiful painting. Look how well it's done. Because I don't even know. I don't judge it that way even when I paint. When I teach to kids and adults, I teach them to find their voice. And a few techniques that are quite obvious that you need to pick up a brush, right? But it's really about like, just do it. Don't think about it so much. Do not let perfectionism, which doesn't even exist, you can't find that because it's different for everybody, and including yourself. Like, you're not gonna be the same person you're today, tomorrow, or a year from now. So let's just start. Begin something. You'll see what you learn from it, and will it take you somewhere? It sure will take you somewhere, but it's better not to expect like, this is exactly what I want. If I think about it, I'm not where I thought I would be 10 years ago. I thought, and I wanted to be somewhere else where I'm at. Where I'm at today, I'm way more happy, even though what I wanted was to be very well known, and I have my art in the moment, in museums. That was so important to me. But then I was like, is that important to me, or is it just the typical idea of every artist wants to be known because that means that you're good, and that means that you're making money, and that means that people care about your art? Well, that's always outside of me. It's not in my control. If people like it, they will buy it. And people do. That's why I can make a living out of this. But I am not in museums. I'm not in like this insane, you see me in the streets and you want my photo. And I mean, people do it sometimes, but I think it's cute. It's more like, hey, Gio, I know I follow you. But I'm not in that like Madonna stage, but I wanted to because I thought that's what I needed to be successful. And today I see success different. I see being healthy in your mind and your body, that's success. Not everybody has it. Being able to do what you love in a daily basis, that's very successful. Having a relationship where you can be yourself and you can redefine yourself constantly as much as you need to, that's success. So I have a lot of success because I do all of that, even though I'm not in a special wall in a museum,
I like that. Because that's what you would think, right? Like, starting off, you're like, okay, I have to be like this artist. Like, they're professional. It's kind of one thing, like, when I think about myself, I would gravitate to one person, be like, oh, I want to be just like that person. And then I start doing things and my work starts looking exactly like that person's work. And then I go, wait, I can't do that. This is not me. It's much better if it's yourself. But I think artists do have that mentality of, okay, success is this idea of being known, having my work in like important places and being famous, or like some type of fame that comes with it?
I mean, obviously, I'm not here to say, Gio the Saint, I am like clean and away from my ego completely, and I don't want fame. Like, I know some kind of fame is important because we live in this material world where we need material things. But what I do think is that we just have to redefine success, because I'm not a millionaire, but I never been more happy in my life I really don't know, like, every month I make this amount. No, you can't know that when you're an artist, because I'm not here just selling retail, that I know, every so many shows I make this amount. So obviously I experience fear, and the unknown is uncomfortable, but I think that success and fame, if that's what it will take, will come when you start actually putting out there things that matter to you, but from a place where like people can tell. Sometimes we don't know why we just don't like somebody, and it might be just because they might not even be their actual selves. And then sometimes we like very fake people because we don't know they're fake, because they're good at acting. So it just doesn't matter. It's so different for everybody. But in my very personal experience, I find it like very peaceful when I think, honestly, fame doesn't bring peace. Fame actually brings a lot of uncomfortable moments. You have no personal and like life, you have to be careful everywhere you go, and are there cameras, are there filming me, can I say this, so when I think about like the problems that actual famous people experience, we take for granted how beautiful it is to be private,
right?
And only sharing what you want, not your secrets or like things that you're like not ready to share, and when you're famous in that sense, and people really want this all the time, we don't think like, why, for what reason? You love the idea of cameras flashing in your face, then go take photo shoots. Like, don't be sad because that's your dream. Dream bigger.
Right.
Being famous will come if it's for you to leave that. I mean, today, if I am famous in the future or whatever, then that's cool. And I'm probably going to be more worried, because then comes a big responsibility. And you can't mess up in front of the world, because look at what happens when you're human. You get criticized even more. So it is not something I look for when I really see what comes with it. But I do know that I would love for my work to speak to many people. But because I really hope it can add something positive to their lives, even if they don't know the name of the artist that created it.
Right.
Because that's more powerful to me. It's like when you give something to somebody, you don't need to film it and post it. Hey, I found a homeless person and I gave it $1. Like, just give it to it, to him or her or whatever. Like, do good because you want to. And then obviously it's beautiful to share good things, because we get bombarded with bad news all the time. It's beautiful to see from time to time stories of people giving, people doing good in the world. So but when it comes to adding something good, not just because you're looking for fame or you're looking for approval, do it because it truly fires you up, in your heart.
When you first did your first professional piece, what was it? How did you get it shown?
Well, it's hard for me to know, because who knows what that means in the sense of professional. You're probably asking the wrong person because I never felt professional.
Right. And then it's also like, you never feel like it's done. Do you ever get that feeling like you make a piece and you're like, I don't know,
it's interesting for me because it's different though. Like I actually feel many times like, do not touch it, Gio. It's done. Do not touch it. And then there's pieces that I always feel they're undone. Like they're not completed, even though they sell. And I'm like, but I would have, you know. So there's literally my way of perceiving things is pieces I feel they're done. Okay, great, you are. Pieces I feel they're not, but for that moment, I don't know what else to do. I don't want to just continue postponing it for later. I show it incomplete for me, right? Okay. If it sells, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, it stays with me and I stare at it for many years sometimes. And then I'm like, boop. That's what but I have to see it. I don't put them away and lock it in a room, never to see it. No, I stare at it. Yeah. I have it in my studio where I paint. And eventually pieces that need to, because of my perception, I add things and I end up saying, oh, okay, now you're finished. And then they sell. So I feel like it's not really for me to say, it's a feeling. And sometimes it's something that it's meant for somebody else. It's not for me. So that's why it's not done in my personal opinion. But it is done for the person that got it. Obviously, I'm not going to leave a woman with no arms because I'm still finished. I'm talking like details, you know, details or little things here and there that I'm like, I could do better with this and that. But sometimes a piece, it was meant to be like that. It was meant to have less colors. It was meant to have less splashes or whatever, you know. And sometimes it's good to think less is more. And that's really hard for me because I literally love putting a lot in. That's my personality. A lot. Yeah. And so it's hard for me to, when I leave pieces that are more minimalist or clean in colors. But it also brings me a lot of peace. So when I see them and I get a good feeling, I let it be, even though there's something that says add more. Yeah. I'm like, no.
That's a tough one.
Yes.
I do like the minimalist pieces, like your faces that look like it's just started with one line, and that's it. And that's definitely a tough one. Knowing when to walk away, like to say, okay, this is done. Yeah. 'Cause I always, on everything, I feel like I look at something and I go, oh, I should have put something there. I should have put a light right here. I should have. And then trying to maintain this consistency across your artwork. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that I struggle with.
Oh, well, me too.
I'm like, it's different slightly, but it should be like consistent.
But it should? Or is that another idea that...
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. It is expected because that's the way a lot of people can recognize it. But it's different for me, for instance. Do I need to be recognized? Do I need people to recognize my art? Well, to get into galleries and projects like that, yes. Mm-hmm. But in my life of work, like, it doesn't matter. Is the message there? Yes. Then that's good. Even if it doesn't look like anything else I've done. And I struggle with that because, yes, people expect me to do something and they already liked it and they ask for it more and more. And what galleries, for instance, will be some that require, I just want your colorful things, or I just want your black and whites. I just want this. And that's tougher for me than to just create for me, to showcase my own exhibits. So for my own projects, I have the very open, like, what is it that we need to say this time? And it's a blank canvas. It's whatever you want. And I allow myself that. And then for things that need to be more professional, more like expected, then I do put myself into, okay, let's get into this zone for where I was at when I was creating this, because that's what they want. And then you have like the custom pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Those are fun, but that's it. Like, unless they tell me a story that it's very profound, I love those, and I get a lot of those. But then sometimes it's just a dog, or it's just something, and I don't mean it to minimize it. I love my cats. I'm a huge animal lover, but it's a photo, you know? It's a photo. I paint it. Great. But then there's people that come with stories, and they show me pictures and colors and jewelry. I recently did a piece for a customer of mine. I painted her mother's face with Day of the Dead makeup, with the hair and dress of Marie Antoinette. And then I added the necklace that carried her grandmother's ashes into the painting. Wow. So it sounds crazy, but it is so meaningful to her, you know? And now she has this beautiful piece that is so unique, and it carries a piece of everybody that she loves, like her mother's face, her ashes of the grandmother, and a lovely, fun, colorful pink painting. So I got to experience a lot of things because I am open to navigating in the unknown, and I think it's so special.
Yeah, I like that. Were there any other interesting commissions that you had to do?
Oh my goodness, yes. I mean, tons of different ones. I mean, there's everything from the professional and very artistic nudes that I can never share because those are very private, but they're beautiful pieces that I get to create where we're celebrating the body, but in a beautiful classical way, where I get to also experiment with like splatters, and like it's not just it looks like the picture, no, then hang the picture, no, it's like a different through my eyes, you know. So and then I've done some where they are special because, for instance, I've done 2 pieces that were a boy and a girl, separate years. They committed suicide, and their parents wanted to have a painting of them. Different people, different ages, different times, but those are special because I get to learn about their lives, and I get to understand the pain that the family is feeling. And I get to connect, I believe in this, with their souls. And I try to paint them where they're at today, like this heavenly place. So I ask questions like, there was this beautiful girl, her name was Gigi. And I asked the father, what was her favorite flower? The sunflowers. That's my favorite. I'm like, what? And then I'm Gio, but they call me Gigi too. So in a crazy way, I had a lot of similarities with her. And I saw the picture they sent me, and I said, okay, I'm not going to paint, because it was a selfie, right? Yeah. I'm not going to paint just a selfie. The background is going to be this beautiful sunflower garden, and there's gonna be like a sunset with different colors in the sky, and she's gonna be wearing her hat. She was also an artist. Oh, wow. So he sent me a picture of a painting she had done, and I added the painting in the hat, like it was embroidered, you know, in the hat. So she looked beautiful. She looked sun-kissed, you know, like, and it brought a lot of peace to the family. They love the peace. And he opened a nonprofit that helps other kids that are in depression and they want to commit suicide. They talk about it, you know, things like that. Yeah. And for the other person, he was young too. And when the mother saw it, I never got to meet her, but it was a text that they sent me where she said, I finally feel peace seeing this piece of art, because I know he's with God, and I painted him hugging Jesus Christ because they're Catholic and they loved it. So I get to experiment, and the reason why I get to do that is because I'm not married to one style.
Right.
I'm happy to navigate in the unknown, like I've said, where I don't know where I'm going, but what is it about? Let's see.
Yeah.
And I'm open to it, to the ideas. And then their ideas combined with my creativity. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, and I just get super excited and all sweaty because I'm like, okay, bye. I need to start this, and that's the feeling that tells me I'm doing good. Yes, you're in a good path. It's not so much that, they said I'm a good artist. They said that my technique is fantastic. They said my brush strokes are... No, that's cool for whoever that's important to. But in my journey is the feelings I get to share because of what I see in my mind and I bring to life.
Yeah, and the thing is that also, like, you're making these pieces for people, but you're also like wanting to do your own stuff. Like, how do you like, would you prefer doing your own stuff? Like, because you're doing this for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And I would feel like that's kind of like conflicting on my creativity. Like, I gotta make it like specific for this, but I still want to do my own things over here.
Yes. Do I prefer it? Well, we all prefer to do easy things, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I prefer the easy things that just come and they're fun and but I love what I do when I get to also push myself into creating something that it's so nerve-wracking because you're like, what?
Yeah.
And I never say, I don't know how to do it.
Oh, okay.
I always say, oh yeah, got it. And then I freak out on my own. Like, what the hell, Gio? I'm like, it's okay. We've always been able to do it. And I say we because I literally think there's several voices in my head. Like my inner child, it's one. And then I have my motherly figure that it's like the more mature person. And then there's the me teenager that is the one that thinks she's so cool and but also struggles with insecurity, So when I did my idea of, yes, I'm integrating all my shadow and light, I had to understand that that's the way I perceive myself into these stages of the little person, the teenager, the me in the now, and the future me who knows better, better for all of us. And it's like a higher power or like connected to God, and she knows, she's the mother. She's the one that calls me down. And the teenager is the one that, yes, I got this. And the little girl is the one that says, what the hell? I'm so scared. What are we doing? And then I'm like, you're going to get to play. Okay. Great. So I convince myself. I have these like crazy struggles, but it's quite fun, and I love doing it all.
What would you say is the most unexpected thing that ever inspired one of your paintings?
I think the unexpected thing for me was to actually share what I'm sharing today, like my failures in certain moments in life, my depression.
Okay.
I never really thought in the past that I would be so open about it because I don't love the idea of sharing the bad things, but I think they're crucial because at the end of the day, they are there and they're a huge piece of why I am the way I am. And I think before I was scared because I thought I had to be super cool and I had to have everything under control for people to like me and to accept me, because people want to look up to people that they feel they're amazing, right? And I didn't feel amazing. And today I feel like I am in a great place, and I feel inspired by myself. Yeah. And I'm not saying it from a bad place, like, oh, I'm so great. It's more like I am proud, because what I've done, I was so afraid, and I still am sometimes, and I do it, and I share it through my work, and I share it when I'm doing the exhibitions, and I tell people my story, and many times I even cry, and I feel so exposed. So that was unexpected, because that was not my idea when I first started. Like I said, everything was super colorful. Even my voice, I hear my voice in interviews and it sounds different. That was not my voice. That's kind of like, I tell my mom this joke, but it's true. She does it, and maybe I do it too still. But she'll answer the phone, and out of nowhere, like, this is her voice, and then she'll be like, "Hi, how you doing? Oh my God, yes." You know, and I'm like, why do you change your voice so much when you answer the phone? No, I don't. Yes, you do. You change it, like your pitch goes up, and that's something I see in my interviews from years ago, and that was really me being so scared that I felt like tight, and I was nervous, and that's why I was so bubbly and so, but it worked because people liked it. People liked the energy, and I can still be that energy, but now I know my everything. Like, I don't need you to like me. It will be great, but I don't have the need. And before, I needed to be liked because I needed to fit in some place. And now I fit in me, and I like me enough to be like, chocolate, to my own self. Like, you know, yes, it sounds crazy. I love it. And I love being alone with myself. I love the thoughts I have. And I love the struggles I go through, because now I know that's going to make me better. We'll be in a better place tomorrow. And like I said, I freak out a lot. Like, if you know me very well, my boyfriend, my friends, my mom, my parents, like, they know I'm like a chihuahua. Like, you know, like, what's going on, Gio? I have to work. Okay. You can't just sit and chat. No, I have to paint. I have, you know, like, I can't turn it off. So I might sound like, oh, I got it. No, but that's my everyday. I work out for that. I wake up, I go to the gym, and at the gym, I'm just listening to podcasts and things that inspire me. And I write, and I get out of all the bad things, literally, and I shower, and I'm thinking, the water is cleansing my body and my energy. Like, everything I do from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed is work on myself so that I can be a better person. And then that's kind of how the world will get better, not by trying to fix the outer world, but the inner one. And that's where I think that's a voice I want to share, you know, like the one that it's constantly becoming a better self, so that I can be one person that is happy in the world. And maybe I can be contagious enough in the future for somebody else, you know, and share something that we can have in common. And people that feel alone and misfits out there too, they know, oh, I am not that weird. Like, there's weirdos over there and here, and we're all, you know, in our own way, but we just don't share it. Because we want to pretend we all belong in this, who knows who made it up, but idea of what we're supposed to think, do, say, you know.
I like the fact that you do share all this stuff, because there's artists too that have massive anxiety. And then they see how, like, successful you are, and they're like, well, there's more to her than just what I see on Instagram and all this nice stuff and everything's going. But there, you've grown into this person, but you still have those anxieties and things.
No, and I'm so open about it. Like, sometimes I even get bored of repeating myself, but it's like, that's my job to repeat myself until whoever is new, they need to know what this is about. Like, this is not a page where I'm just showing you off how cool I am and how my work has been, all around the world. Like, that is really cool. But what I try to do is like, what's your dream? Yes, you can. But it's hard. Like, that's why I post so much. It's not like I love social media because I can't be remembering every time to film myself because I'm doing this and that. I try just because I've heard so many times people saying, Gio, you work a lot. Like, that's what it takes. But it's worth it. Everybody works a lot. But when you work for something that you love, it's better because it's hard anyway.
Yeah.
But I like people to know, like, it takes a lot. Don't expect it to be easy. And don't expect to be the 1% that will be famous out of nowhere. And also, if you do become famous out of nowhere, you're not prepared for what that is. We don't know what it, like, emotionally. You need also people that truly care. Otherwise, you'll be surrounded by leeches,
Right.
So it's like, forget about the becoming famous and find your voice. Why do you want to be an artist? Just for fun? That's okay. Because anxiety helps me. Great. Healing. Then, but find why. Then do more of that. And then know yourself. And then in the meantime, you can try to get involved in different markets or exhibits or things to sell it.
Yeah.
But when you want to make a living, you can't just paint the fun things and that's it. You can't. I mean, I'm sure there's a few in the world, and that's awesome. But realistically, it doesn't work that way. That's why I sell prints, I sell stickers, coasters, t-shirts. I give art classes. I make painting experiences. I do a lot of things related with art, but I don't just make a living out of painting on canvas.
Yeah.
You have to make different ways of making income. And that was something that Carlos, my business partner, taught me. Like, he is really good. He is that part of the brain that helps me with the numbers, with the taxes, but also he was the one that inspired me to make this like a business, because I didn't have that mentality, like I didn't know how or anything, but I've always been a hard worker and love interacting with people and creating. So combination of that, it's so important, finding a team, even though it may be one person or somebody that pushes you at the beginning and helps you like build up something, because it's so important to just ask for help.
Yeah.
And not only like, help me for free, help me and give me everything. Like, how do we all help each other? How am I helping you grow up as well in your own dreams and in your own, that can be a friend, that can be a partner, that can be your mother, who knows? Like, it can be family, but it has to be somebody that can separate the personal and the business. And that's one of the hardest things for me, because I'm all emotion.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, freaking out about something. He'll be like, Gio, blah, 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 blah. This is it. This is the way to do it. Okay, great. I got it. So we need artists. We need a practical person that just does and has almost no feeling when it comes to the business. As an artist, you feel it all. That's why you're creating, you're an artist. So now, thanks to that combination, I can make sales. I can think numbers too, but it's like I don't have to just be the business. I get to relax in a way of just dedicating myself to truly bringing everything I have in me to put it out there, because sometimes the words are not there for me, then create it with visuals. So storytelling is more important to me than the actual final product. You know, like I don't think about a painting and I'm thinking, I already know the colors, I already know from A to Z how it will be. That's only for pieces that are custom made. I have to do a lot of planning. But when it comes to my work, I get to have fun. So that's how I bring the balance. And that when you say, what do you prefer? Well, yeah, the fun. But the fun also for me is all about healing. So it's not fun like, oh, drinking wine and the music. And it's more like, oh my God, okay. Get in tune and meditate and bring out all of that. What are we talking about this time? And what are we healing? Why are we crying? Why are like it's exhausting. And I paint sometimes 5 to 7 hours. My hands hurt. Like it takes a lot. And a lot of people just want it to be easy. Oh, in 1 hour, I'm done with the project. Right. Up to you. But like I try to push my students into understanding it takes a lot. Don't think because you see it on Instagram and you want to copy somebody's work and you want to put 3 hours into it, that person took 70 hours to create that. You're gonna do it? You know, so I push, I inspire, but I always remind them, like, it will take hard work. It's not like because you're an artist, you're free to go and do whatever. Like, if you're going to be an artist in the business industry, it takes a lot of work, no matter what.
Yeah, I like that. I like that story you just told. It's interesting about, like, how you turned it into a business. But at that point, were you even thinking about a business? Or you're just thinking about creating? No,
I started just creating for my own healing purposes as a little kid, but I didn't know, right? I just did it. Like I said, I had anger issues. So I started noticing that when I will paint horrible things, but it was my way of not having to say them or hit somebody or do something physical. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm not damaging anybody. I'm getting it out in paper. So I wasn't thinking that even like selling, nothing. My grandma will be upset all the time because I will give my art away all the time. And she was like, one day you're going to be famous. Please, Gio, give it to me. So I would give her everything. And in one occasion, funny thing, I posted a picture of a napkin where I painted something when I was a kid. And I found the picture, I posted it, but it had been years. My grandma had the napkin. And somebody in my collector say, gee, I want that piece of art. And I'm like, hold on. And I call my grandma in Mexico. I'm like, Grandma, I sent her the picture. You have this? Oh, yeah, I actually have it. But it fell behind a desk years ago. So I know it's there, but it was like dusty and everything. I went and visit her and picked it up because I was planning to go anyway. And I brought the piece and sold it for $400 back then. And I was like, a piece of napkin, which I was going to throw. And my grandma said, no, save it. And then years later, it sells for an amount of money I couldn't even believe as a kid that I could possess in my hands. And today I feel very blessed and humble for that. But it just blew my mind, and I feel like I just never believed it. But when I started showing my work, it was really because Carlos said, hey, I know a vintage shop and they sell work there. Let's just take your art in there and see what happens. And I was like, sure, one day. Typical. Don't do this. Do not do this. Never leave it for one day. Like, do it. Now I believe so much in, do it now. Today. or send an email, or what step are we doing today that will get us closer? But back then I was just like, sure, blah, 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 blah. I was 18 years old. And he took the pieces, they sold. Because we had no idea like what to sell them for, nothing. Yeah. I was just so excited. And after that, I started doing all the little markets. But I'm telling you, like 7-hour markets where I will pay $65 to be there, and I would sell for $100 a piece of art, and I will be like, oh my God, I can't believe $100. And then Carlos will be like, minus the $65.
Yeah.
Because I mean... And think about the 7 hours you worked. So really, it's not that much money. And I'll be like, oh, damn. But I was still very excited because I sold a piece, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of struggle. I didn't have tables or a good setup. Kids will step on my art all the time because they were just playing, you know, it's a park.
Yeah.
So those experiences were... they destroy me and build me and rebuild me and destroy, you know, because you feel bad because you're like, nobody cares. Nobody likes it. Or, you know, or they're like, how much is it? And I mean, I'm telling you what, I was selling pieces for $65, $75 that today they cost at least $1,200.
Yeah.
So, and then I would say 65. I'll give you 20 right now. I'm like, no. But, you know, today I feel very happy that I get to laugh about those experiences. I'm happy because I did not give up. Yeah. That's what I'm happy about. Not because they were good experiences, but because I see those moments that feel like failure, like they're building you. Tough skin. You want to be in the business? Oh,
yeah.
Build up for it because it's not easy.
Yeah, I'd be excited too at 18 and my artwork sold. I wouldn't even be really thinking so much about the money. I would just be like, wow, somebody
liked it. Yes. Yeah.
What do you have? What are you working on right now, or what do you have coming up?
Yes. Well, I'm working on 15 different pieces of art. I'm painting a cow for the cow parade. Oh, okay. And I'm working on several projects for nonprofits. But I can say that in April 9th, from 5 to 7 p.m., I will be showcasing Epiphany in Paradise. It's a new series that will be showcasing in Anarte. And that's going to be one of the series that interlace or interact with Dancing with Ghosts, Broken Bodies, and all the other series that are basically telling you a fairy tale for adults in the healing of the mind. Mm-hmm.
Nice. And if people want to reach you, what's the best?
Yes, I always say the website is easiest because you can find Facebook, Instagram. So if you put DiZurita with the Z, DiZurita.com, that will take you to the email, to what's available in our pieces, to if you want a sticker, a magnet, you know, like all the different things that I sell. And it will also give you events that I will be teaching. So also like I do painting parties. The next one is this coming Thursday in the Briscoe, and you can buy your tickets, you know. So I give painting parties experiences for adults so they can kind of just interact with their inner child, have fun, but they can also have some wine and have like a cool date or something different. So I do it there at the Briscoe or at my gallery, depending on the dates.
Cool. Well, Gio, I know that you're busy, but I want to thank you so much for coming and doing this. This was really fun.
Thank you so much.
I learned more stuff about you.
Thank you so much. This was super nice.
All right. Well, cool. All right, guys. We'll see you later.